Today on Locked On Rockies, Justin Lawrence is our next Rocky in review. Really great stuff. Really frustrating stuff. How much can the Rockies rely on the exciting arm out of the bullpen?
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 27th day of October in the year 2023. I'm your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, guess what? You're in the right spot. That's what we do around here each and every day, bringing you your daily Rockies talk here on your favorite streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where your subscription is the easiest way to help the show grow. Thank you so much for tuning in over there and anywhere you tune in. Thank you for being making us your first listen of the day. Total brain fart right there. Crazy. Anyway, today we're going to talk about Justin Lawrence. We're also going to read some YouTube comments. So that is the plan. Simple, easy, fun Friday, right? Boom. Let's dive into everything. Let's talk Justin Lawrence here. But before we do that, today's episode is brought to you by Jase Medical. Empower yourself when you purchase a Jase case, providing you with a personal supply of 5 antibiotics that treat 50-plus infections. Get yours today at jasemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com. Justin Lawrence, one of my favorite Rockies, one of my favorite pieces out of the bullpen, one of my most excited for Rockies from this season. And until the end of the season, he didn't disappoint. Up until August, Justin Lawrence was really dealing. He stumbled a little bit in June and July, in May as well. But man, at moments and at times, Justin Lawrence was dominant and elite, and someone that I think we can be really excited about going forward if he can get the command and the control down, if he can negate the rough stretches. How much of Justin Lawrence last year at the end can we chalk up to the overworking of the bullpen is a really good question. It's a really good ask. Justin Lawrence took a big jump when it came for in terms of innings pitched last year in terms of his career. 42 innings pitched in 2022, increased that by 33 innings this year, nearly doubling not nearly doubling, I shouldn't say that, but 33 more innings pitched this year for Justin Lawrence, including nearly 31 more games that he appeared in for the Rockies this season. And I think the problem and the big thing as we're looking at Justin Lawrence is we're going to focus, or a lot of people will focus on the end and at the end of the season win. I'm hoping that that's the uncharacteristic part of Justin Lawrence, and I'm hoping that with a healthier Rockies team, that won't happen. But there were too many circumstances, overworked or not, and at that situation, the Rockies bullpen kind of knew where they were at, and Justin Lawrence unfortunately blew too many, not only close opportunities, but comfortable opportunities as well. And it starts by just allowing free bases, and it allows by allowing easy base runners. And it wasn't just Justin Lawrence. It was pitching across the board. And so while I'm thinking of Justin Lawrence, it's another reason to be reminded of the coaching and the leadership on the team. Pitching focused manager, pitching coach that's been promoted, that's been in the system. What happened? What happened? And what's going to happen going forward? Am I fully confident that the Rockies are going to be able to get Justin Lawrence to be the consistent, dominant threat that we know he can be and has shown at points, especially in last year, in the month of July, a .86 whip, an opponent batting average of 171. In that time, he had a 3.09 ERA in 10 games in 11 innings pitched, including 12 strikeouts to just 3 walks. Justin Lawrence in that movement is dominant, and this is against the Giants, the Yankees, the Astros, the Marlins, and San Diego. A couple of appearances against Washington and Oakland in there as well in that month. So we know that Justin Lawrence can handle big situations against big-name teams. It's just when it's the regression, 185 whip, 325 batting average against their only another 8 strikeouts, but 3 walks and giving up 10 hits, doubling his hit total from July and August in less innings pitched. So the wishy-washy and the flip-flop and everything is something that has you worried, but I'm willing to put that more so into the overworked and still young and figuring things out category. This year is going to be a really key year for Justin Lawrence. It's going to be a key year, I think, for the Rockies as well as an opportunity to show us that they can handle the development of a player like Justin Lawrence, someone with a unique arm angle, someone that's getting a lot of movement, someone that is showing that he has, in my opinion, elite level talent. I believe that Justin Lawrence possesses elite level talent when it comes to his pitch abilities, and Baseball Savant backs that up. Justin Lawrence is on the great side of breaking run value. His xERA is above average. His X batting average is above average. His fastball velocity is above average. Barrel percentage is above average. The ground ball percentage is above average. That's key. If he can get some more growth in some areas like the chase percentage here, where he struggles with the mix of that devastating sweeper, Justin Lawrence is going to continue to be someone that is going to be not only efficient but dominant for the Rockies, and someone they need to be able to turn to. It's just that itching thing in the back of your head of how this season ended. Because we saw, again, what does a full, strong season look like for Justin Lawrence? And how much how much faith do we have on the Rockies getting that for a full season? I know Lawrence can do it. I know Lawrence has the ability, and it's showing there from what he's done for the Rockies here now with 2 seasons and a little bit, 2 and some change, a couple of innings, I think, there beforehand. My biggest concern with Justin Lawrence isn't necessarily with Justin Lawrence, the player himself. It's the people around Justin Lawrence handling the development and where he goes from here. Can the Rockies help Justin Lawrence take a step forward? Or are we going to see more of the second half of the what is the explanation for the second half of the season, or really the last 2 months of the season especially? Is it the overwork? Was it just the state of the Rockies? Is it the concerns with Lawrence and the fact that when he misses bad and he can be feasted on a little bit? I don't know. I think that we learned that Justin Lawrence is close to making that step to being elite. He's not quite there yet. But the baseline is very encouraging. The greatness that we saw at times from Lawrence there is elite level stuff. And that's going to help the Rockies win ball games. That's going to be necessary to help the Rockies win ball games, especially in close ball games against good teams. It's just the nagging thing in the back of our head is going to be there for most of next season. Can we count on him? Would you count on him? I'll answer that question. Do I think the Rockies should stick with him as the closer or build more confidence in him as the closer? Let's talk about that coming up here in segment number 2. But before we do that, got to tell you about some of the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes Jase Medical. Modern medical care and treatment are important, but our global supply chains are fragile. Things like pandemics, natural disasters, and foreign travel may cut you off from the treatment you need. Jase Medical is your solution. Just fill out their online form, and one of Jase Medical's board-certified physicians will review it to determine whether medications are safe and appropriate. Then Jase will send your prescriptions to one of their partner pharmacies where your order will be filled and mailed directly to your home. You can also send your physician a message for answers to your treatment-related questions at any time. Everyone should be empowered to care for themselves and their loved ones during the unexpected. That's why Jase Medical offers the Jase case. Save more than $360 by getting antibiotics with Jase Medical plus an additional $20 off by using the code LOCKEDON at checkout on jasemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com, jasemedical.com. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast for free and streaming on your favorite streaming service, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every single day, weekday, that is, here on the Locked On Podcast Network and the Locked On Rockies podcast and YouTube channel, where your subscription is the best way to help the show grow, and I really appreciate it. We're going to talk about some comments from the YouTube section here coming up here in segment number 3 of today's episode of Locked On Rockies. But first, we continue our conversation about Justin Lawrence. Do I believe in Justin Lawrence as the closer for this team? I do. I really do. I think that he is going to, I think from the way we learned about Justin Lawrence, the way he likes to interact with social media, the way he approaches the game, the way he's talked to the media in the past, and the way he looks at the game from in the eyes of this fan, I think he's the guy anxious and ready for that next step. He's young. He's going to be 29 next year, turning 28 here. He's going to be turning 29 here in next month. He's going to be entering right into the prime of what I think he can do. His numbers are impressive. His numbers are encouraging. He is, last year was a step forward in just about every way for him, even with the issues at the end of the season. The Rockies felt more confident in him and allowing him to have a bigger role on this team and turn to him more. And, you know, big issue for me, especially with Lawrence, 5 home runs in that time, 36 walks. Stuff that does frustrate me as a fan. But then when I look at it compared to 2022, for example, like we were talking about in the first segment, Justin Lawrence pitched a lot more this year. And the increases that you saw in earned runs and home runs specifically were minimal. 14 more walks. That's where my issue is there, is that the fact that we did see the rate of walks increased, but the strikeouts also increasing in terms of if you were to stretch them out a little bit more. The ERA improving. Really encouraged the fact that it's been steps forward from Lawrence in his short career. Going from, he took a step forward from 21 to 22, pitching in a lot more time and getting a lot more opportunity and being able to be a bigger part of the Rockies. And again, some stuff that isn't always the prettiest, but it seems like he's settling into the major league role. The jump isn't so massive from year to year, and it's a little bit more negated. Some of the stuff, like I said, it's a little bit more concerning. But from 2021 to 2022, he gave up 11 more home runs between those seasons. Between that, this year, he does give up the 31, but it's only an increase of 5 more home runs over 32 more or 33 more innings, about 30, closer to 32, I suppose. So I think that with the rate there, the percentage is there, and it was encouraging. Strikeouts per 9 down in 2023 compared to in 2022, but the walk rate down slightly, and the hits down by over a full point from 2023 to 2021. The hits and runs, or the home runs per 9. I'm sorry, they were right next to each other. Hits, he was giving up 9.3 hits per 9 innings pitched in 2022, 7.8 hits per 9 innings pitched in 2023. I know obviously he's a reliever, but stretch it out a little bit more and you get an idea there. The whip is down. And like I said, the ERA down while also pitching in 31 more games. So I think the upside and the potential for Justin Lawrence is still great. I think everything that we have seen about Justin Lawrence at his best and at the moments where he was dominant and great in 2023 should give us more hope that a team that hopefully can build up some starting pitching depth will be able to use him more effectively instead of having to lean on him so much and put him in situations that weren't always the best matchups for him as well when you're handling and navigating your bullpen. But when the Rockies were facing issues and continued to go through this season not knowing if your starting pitcher is going to be able to get past the fifth or the fourth or the third inning in a lot of games, you're going to have to turn to Justin Lawrence in other opportunities. And plus, moving around in the bullpen and what innings he's going to pitch, it's kind of, he's carved out the fact that he's an 8th, 9th inning guy. And again, when I watch him, when he's at his best, he's the guy I want out of the bullpen in the 9th. He is. I think the release, the arm angle, the sweeper, the speed, everything. That's what I want from the closer for the Rockies. I do worry about the home runs. I do worry about some of that stuff that we pointed out there. But I think that he can get better. I think we haven't seen the best version of Justin Lawrence yet. I think the potential upside warrants him being given the opportunities, especially when we're looking at a year in 2024 where that's most likely going to be difficult for the Rockies. But this is also going to be the prime of Justin Lawrence's pitching career, at least age-wise. And he's just fun to watch. Just like we were talking about with Elias Diaz yesterday. I mean, there are things outside of the just nuts and bolts and analytics and numbers and everything about watching it. Justin Lawrence is enjoyable to watch. Like I've mentioned it just about every time we talked about Justin Lawrence this year. It's fun to have a unique bullpen arm, a unique delivery, a unique style to come out of the bullpen, and someone that was successful. The steps forward are more encouraging than the stumbles that we saw amidst a part of the season that was definitely not just Justin Lawrence struggling at that point. The struggles were concerning. Don't get me wrong. I mean, unfortunately, there was some really frustrating moments with Justin Lawrence and all of the bullpen, and they were all upfront and honest about it. Justin Lawrence being one of them. So I'm not going to I'm not going to focus solely on that, but it's just like with everything with the Rockies, when we do want to be excited, when we do want to believe in the guys that we have, you do need to keep in mind the context of the struggles of this team. And we all saw what happened with Justin Lawrence at times. And they weren't just a game or here, there. There were a couple of month-long stretches for Justin Lawrence that were really tough. But on the flip side, there were month-long stretches where Justin Lawrence was dominant in helping the Rockies win ball games. And I think that he's going to be able to do that more often than not in 2024. And I think he's going to continue to take steps forward. And I think he's going to be someone that the Rockies are really going to be able to count on in 2024. I hope. Because in the back of my mind, I still have to be hesitant about the pitching staff and the development team around him, because I'm not all that confident in the pitching area, in the pitching instruction, in the pitching development, in all of the pitching focused things for the Rockies. I am not abundantly confident in when it comes to the approach and such. I'm not a pitching coach, but I am certainly concerned with the pitching staff, and Justin Lawrence is going to be directly impacted by not only their decisions, but the front office decisions on how they rebuild this rotation and who they go with. Because if you trot out the same veterans that you had at the end of last season, you know what you're going to expect from your bullpen. And to start the season, you don't have Brad Hand or Pierce Johnson like you did in 2023 to help get you to help navigate the beginning of the season. before turning to just what you got now. So Justin Lawrence's fate is certainly not only just in his hands. It is in the hands of the people around him and the starting pitching staff as well. So we'll see what impacts that means for Justin Lawrence, what that might mean for the team in 2024. But Justin Lawrence is going to be a top 5 Rocky to watch going into 2024 for me again. He was on my top of my list for Rockies to watch in 2023. I'm encouraged by a lot of what I saw. I'm hesitant and a little nervous about some of the other stuff, but he is a joy. He is someone that is very, very fun to watch and is a good time to have on the ball diamond when things are going well. Because bullpen pitching when it isn't going well is incredibly frustrating. But I believe in Justin Lawrence. I believe in his abilities. I believe in the sweeper, and I need a sweeper t-shirt as well. All right, folks, let's read some YouTube comments and get ready for the weekend here on the Locked On Rockies podcast coming up in segment number 3. But before we do that, got to tell you about some of the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes Ibotta. How does free Thanksgiving sound? This year, Ibotta is here to give you cash back and help make sure your Thanksgiving table is complete, because who wants turkey without the gravy? Big holidays mean big family get-togethers, but you don't have to spend all that money on the Thanksgiving spread without getting something in return. With Ibotta, you can get your turkey and all your favorite sides for free. Starting November 1st, for the 4th year in a row, Ibotta is giving 100% cash back on your Thanksgiving feast. Just add the offers in the app to redeem for everything you need to make your Thanksgiving feast complete. All you have to do is shop at your favorite retailers and upload your receipt. Ibotta gives you cash back on hundreds of grocery items, from produce to personal care to pantry goods, so you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. Download the Ibotta app now and use code MLB to get 100% cash back on your Thanksgiving dinner. That's 100% cash back on your Thanksgiving dinner starting November 1st when you use the Ibotta app. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free Ibotta app and use code MLB. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store and use code MLB. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast, for free and streaming on your favorite streaming service, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. We can find your team every day. You can find more Rockies talk on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can look at my ugly mug, talk Rockies baseball, be part of the show by leaving your Rockies hot takes in the Locked On Rockies YouTube comment section. Read a couple yesterday. Let's read some more today. Let's see. CU DJ says, the wild card by definition negates the whole season. 2 wild card teams peaked at the right time. I'm not a fan of any of the playoff teams, but being better than average shouldn't lead to a playoff bid. As for the Rockies, they don't have the ownership or management to get better. This was on our episode, Can the Rockies do what the Diamondbacks and Rangers did? I just don't buy it, man. I just don't buy that it negates a whole season. I really don't. There's too much baseball played. There's too much that goes into it. And to just sit there and throw your hands up and say, well, it negates everything. I just don't think that's true. The Dodgers pitching was suspect this year. It really was. And the Rays have shown that they haven't been able to navigate playoff baseball that effectively. They got to the World Series. They did that stuff, sure, but they haven't, or close or whatever, but they haven't been able to consistently put it together. Milwaukee, same thing. I mean, these teams are good, but they're not great. And their weaknesses came up in key moments. Now, Philly's weakness was in offense, but the bullpen of Arizona was great. Lights out. The Rangers have out-hit and outmatched everyone all season long. So I get that the sanctity, I guess, of the playoffs and everything is changed because it is easier to get in. That makes sense. I can see why people that, especially longtime baseball fans. Remember, I'm a post 90s kid. Wild card has basically been my entire life when it comes to baseball fandom. So if you're already from that and been watching baseball for a long time and believe in that, I get that. Can't argue with you there. Because then that meant you had to be the best throughout everything. Regular season, postseason, you had to be the best to win the World Series. The club was elite. The field was small. I get that. But the exposure, the opportunities, and the interest, I think, is just there more with this format. And when you give teams like Arizona the chance to make a run for it, because it also paves the way for the Rockies. Let's see. User JV says draft right and play hard when into doing can the Rockies do what the Diamondbacks and Rangers did? Simple enough. It's it's certainly more complicated than just that, but at the same time, at its core, at its foundation, that's it. I mean, and that's Rockies to the T right there. Boiled down into 4 words: draft hard, draft well, play hard. Thank you, user JB. And Tracy 635 must have went on a little binge here, tuning into all sorts of episodes here and commenting. So we'll read a couple of comments here from Tracy. Let's see. Tracy says, pretty excited to see our young position players already considered for Gold Glove awards. Max certainly deserved it last year. I love Nolan Jones and Brenton Doyle in the outfield, hopefully for years to come. The Rockies need to step into the future and get their analytics department up with the rest of Major League Baseball organizations. They need to bring in people who know how to teach our pitchers how to use analytics in their pitching. They need to focus on the best pitchers available and stop with their failed approach for looking for certain types. Just draft and trade for the most talented pitchers available and have the best coaching available to help these guys succeed. The Rockies really missed the boat not getting Cabrera from the Marlins. Kid is a very talented pitcher. When a team is offering a young, controllable pitcher, make the trade. Losing Rogers would have hurt, but one thing the Rockies do well is develop hitters. Kim Eng would really help this organization, but she's not coming here. Until this ownership group starts valuing the vast front office, scouting and coaches out there and bring them here and stop with their decades of loyalty, they will always be stuck in the 80s approach to baseball. Thank you so much, Tracy. And so there's a lot of good stuff there. I mean, and the question of trading Brendan Rodgers is just going to be one of the biggest ones of this offseason and next season. I've given my takes. We'll certainly not. It won't be the last time we talk about it. But there are question marks there. And if the Rockies could have gotten Cabrera, that would have been a good move. That would have certainly helped the Rockies. Absolutely. No argument there. Let's go for one more from Tracy here, who's got lots of thoughts, which I really appreciate. I like these podcasts, but the Broncos sweatshirt really doesn't belong on a Rockies broadcast. Got to disagree with you there. I'm going to support all our Colorado teams out here. I'm a Colorado guy, and we're a podcast, not a broadcast. But I appreciate it nonetheless. Followed up by, as for Bryant, Mumford focused on Bryant to put fannies in the seats. Bryant is not the player he was, so arguing that he's going to take playing time away from the young guys, just wait. He will get hurt, and Montero will get his start. Signing Blackmon was fine, but the money they gave him wasn't. But Charlie will produce and fill the DH role. I'm hoping Chris comes into the spring healthy and can take over first base so he earns his contract. Tolia hasn't hit when given at bat, so use him as trade bait in a package for much-needed pitching. Goodman can work into the first base or catcher position. Great points there as well. And certainly, I don't, at the same time, I pay Charlie Blackmon. I have no issues with that. I don't think that money, and I don't think Mumford and the money committed there is going to prevent them from doing anything in terms of acquisitions or things like that. But and he's deserved it. But Tolia also right there with Rodgers in the interesting trade conversation and where he fills in. But the health of Chris Bryant, that's going to be at the forefront. Will he be healthy? Can he be impactful? Thank you so much, Tracy. And all of you Rockies fans out there for giving us your comments in the Locked On Rockies YouTube section. Much appreciated. You can find us on your favorite streaming service. You can find us on the Locked On Rockies YouTube section. you can find us on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, not just the comment section as well. Check it out there. And thank you so much again for making us your first listen of the day. That's going to do it for us here on the Locked On Rockies podcast for this 27th of October. We'll continue to review the Rockies and talk Rockies next week when we're back in action. For your second listen of the day, don't miss out on Locked On MLB. And of course, for more Colorado sports coverage, Locked On Broncos, Locked On Avalanche, Locked On Nuggets, and Locked On Buffs podcasts have you covered. Until next time, this is Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.